On a quiet evening in the small town of Maplewood, Alex Carter decided to take his usual walk through the dense forest behind his house. The air was cool, and the sky had turned a deep shade of orange as the sun dipped below the horizon. Birds chirped softly in the distance, and the rustling of leaves underfoot created a soothing rhythm. For Alex, these walks were a way to escape the noise of daily life. He enjoyed the solitude, the chance to think without distractions. But tonight, something felt different. There was an unusual stillness in the woods, as if nature itself was holding its breath. As Alex ventured deeper into the forest, he noticed a faint glow coming from beneath a cluster of bush. At first, he thought it might be a trick of the light, or perhaps some kind of animal with reflective eyes. Curiosity got the better of him, and he moved closer, pushing aside the thick foliage. What he found made his heart skip a beat. Nestled among the leaves and dirt was a strange object, smooth and metallic, about the size of a football. It pulsed with a soft, rhythmic light, shifting between shades of blue and green. The surface was cool to the touch, and when Alex brushed away the debris covering it, intricate patterns etched into the metal began to shimmer faintly. Alex crouched down, inspecting the object more closely. It didn't look like anything he'd ever seen before, certainly not man-made. His mind raced with questions. Was this some kind of experimental device? A piece of space junk that had fallen to Earth? Or was it something else entirely? Just as he reached out to pick it up, a voice startled him. It was soft and melodic, almost musical, yet unmistakably desperate. "Human, please help me from behind. I'll serve you forever as your alien slave." Alex froze, his hand hovering just above the object. He glanced around quickly, searching for the source of the voice, but there was no one in sight. The forest was eerily silent now, as though even the birds had fled. Slowly, he turned his attention back to the glowing artifact. The voice had come from it, that much was clear. But how? And what did it mean? Who's there? Alex asked cautiously, his voice trembling slightly. He wasn't sure whether to feel afraid or amazed. "What do you want?" There was a pause, and then the voice spoke again. This time, it sounded clearer, more focused. "I am Zinra. I am trapped within this containment unit. My energy is fading. If you can free me, I will owe you my life and my loyalty." Alex frowned, trying to make sense of what he was hearing. An alien? Trapped inside this thing? It sounded like something out of a science fiction movie. Yet here he was, standing in the middle of the woods, talking to what appeared to be an otherworldly object. Part of him wanted to run home and pretend none of this had happened. But another part, the part that had always been curious, always yearned for adventure, urged him to stay. "Free you?" Alex repeated, his voice steadier now. "How am I supposed to do that?" "The mechanism requires activation," the voice explained. "Press the triangular symbol at the top while rotating the circular panel clockwise. Do so carefully. I am weakened and cannot sustain further damage." Alex hesitated for a moment, then nodded to himself. What did he have to lose? He followed the instructions, pressing the triangle and turning the circle as instructed. As he did, the object emitted a low hum, growing louder and brighter until it became almost blinding. Alex shielded his eyes with one hand, bracing himself for whatever might happen next. When the light finally dimmed, Alex lowered his arm and gasped. Hovering in front of him was a translucent figure, a humanoid shape with shimmering skin that seemed to ripple like liquid silver. Its large, almond-shaped eyes glowed faintly, and its slender limbs moved with an ethereal grace. Though it appeared fragile, there was an undeniable intelligence in its gaze. "I thank you, human," the figure said, its voice softer now, tinged with gratitude. "You have saved me from certain demise." Alex stared at the being, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. "You're real," he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. "You're really an alien." The figure inclined its head. "Slightly, indeed. My name is Zinra, as I stated earlier. I am of the Velari race." We are known for our ability to manipulate energy fields. Unfortunately, this gift has made us targets of those who seek to exploit us. Alex took a step back, suddenly aware of the implications. If Zinra was telling the truth, and everything about her suggested she was, then she wasn't just some random visitor from outer space. She was on the run, possibly in danger. And now, because of his actions, he might be involved in something far bigger than he could imagine. "Why are you here?" Alex asked, his tone cautious but curious. "Why Earth?" Zinra's expression darkened, and for a moment, she looked almost sad. "I was fleeing my pursuers when my ship malfunctioned. I ejected this containment unit as a last resort, hoping someone would find it and release me. Your planet was the closest safe haven I could reach." Alex rubbed the back of his neck, feeling overwhelmed. "So, what happens now?" "You said something about serving me," Zinra nodded solemnly. "It is customary among my people to offer servitude to those who save us. I will assist you in any way you require, for as long as you wish. In return, I ask only for your protection until I regain my strength." Alex exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. This was all so surreal. One minute, he was taking a peaceful walk in the woods. The next, he was face to face with an alien offering to be his servant. It was hard to wrap his head around. Still, he couldn't deny the sense of intrigue bubbling inside him. Maybe this was his chance to experience something extraordinary, to step outside the ordinary and embrace the unknown. "All right," Alex said finally, his voice firm despite the whirlwind of emotion swirling within him. "I'll help you. But let's get one thing straight. I'm not looking for a slave. If we're going to work together, it's going to be as equals." Zinra tilted her head, studying him intently. Then, after a moment, she smiled a gesture that somehow managed to convey warmth despite her alien appearance. "Very well, Alex Carter. I accept your terms. Together, we shall navigate the challenges ahead." And with that, the two unlikely companions set off toward Alex's house, their footsteps crunching softly against the forest floor. Neither of them knew what the future held, but one thing was certain: their lives would never be the same again. Life in Alex Carter's small house began to take on a rhythm of its own. Each morning, Zinra would wake up well, as much as an energy-based alien could wake up and immediately start helping with household chores. She was astonishingly efficient, folding laundry in seconds and vacuuming the entire living room without missing a single spot. At first, Alex had been hesitant to let her handle anything too complicated, but Zinra quickly proved that she could master almost any task after observing it just once. Her only real struggle was cooking. Despite her best efforts, she still managed to burn toast or oversalt soup. Alex couldn't help but laugh whenever he caught her standing over a pot of boiling water, looking utterly perplexed. "You know," Alex said one afternoon as they sat at the kitchen table, "you're probably the most helpful roommate I've ever had. Too bad you can't officially sign a lease." Zinra tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing slightly in confusion. "A lease? Is that a form of binding agreement?" "Yeah, something like that," Alex replied with a grin. "But don't worry about it. You're already paying your rent by keeping this place spotless." Though Zinra didn't fully understand human humor, she smiled faintly, mimicking the expression she'd seen Alex use countless times. Over the past few weeks, she had become remarkably skilled at blending into everyday life. She wore a simple holographic projection that made her appear human, a trick she learned from adjusting the settings on her containment artifact. To anyone passing by, she looked like an ordinary woman with silvery hair and pale skin. Of course, Linda Harper, Alex's nosy neighbor, had noticed her presence almost immediately. "Who's the new girl?" Linda asked one day when Alex stepped outside to check the mail. Her tone was casual, but her sharp eyes betrayed her curiosity. "Oh, that's Zinra," Alex stammered, trying to sound nonchalant. "She's visiting for a while, helping me out around the house." Linda raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. Visiting from where? She doesn't look local. She's from Canada, Alex lied, hoping his shaky excuse would hold up. You know how Canadians are polite, quiet, always willing to lend a hand. Linda gave him a long, scrutinizing look before shrugging. Well, tell her she's welcome to join the book club if she wants. We could use some fresh perspectives. Alex forced a smile and nodded. I'll pass that along. As soon as Linda walked away, he sighed in relief. Keeping Zinra's true identity a secret wasn't easy, but so far, they'd managed to avoid raising suspicion. Back inside, Zinra greeted Alex with a tray of snacks, though the cookies were slightly burnt and the tea smelled suspiciously like dish soap. I prepared refreshments, she announced proudly. Oblivious to the flaws in her culinary creation, Alex took a cautious sip of the tea and winced. Thanks, Zinra. You're really improving. He set the cup down gently, deciding it was better not to hurt her feelings. Listen, we need to talk about something important. You've been doing great at blending in, but there's still a chance someone might figure out you're not exactly human. Zinra's expression grew serious. I am aware of the risks, Alex. However, I believe I'm adapting adequately. If necessary, I can enhance my holographic disguise further. That's good, Alex said, nodding. But we also need to think about what happens if those bounty hunters show up. We can't rely on luck forever. Zinra hesitated, her translucent hands clasped tightly together. You are correct. While my energy levels have improved slightly, they remain insufficient for sustained combat. The artifact contains defensive tools, but activating them requires precision and trust. Alex leaned forward, meeting her gaze. Then teach me. I'm not letting you face this alone. Whatever those hunters throw at us, we'll deal with it together. For the next several days, Alex and Zinra worked tirelessly to prepare for the worst. Zinra showed him how to operate the artifact's various functions, explaining each button and dial in painstaking detail. Some controls generated protective force fields, while others emitted bursts of electromagnetic energy capable of disabling nearby devices. Alex struggled at first, accidentally triggering a blinding flash of light. That left spots dancing in front of his eyes. But with practice, he began to grasp the basics. In addition to mastering the artifact, they fortified the house using Zinra's technology. Invisible energy barriers now surrounded the property, designed to alert them if anyone or anything crossed the perimeter. Zinra also modified the basement into a makeshift bunker, complete with reinforced walls and emergency supplies. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave them a fighting chance if the hunters arrived unexpectedly. Despite their preparations, moments of normalcy still found their way into their days. One evening, Alex convinced Zinra to watch a movie with him. They settled onto the couch, a bowl of popcorn between them as the screen flickered to life. Zinra watched intently, captivated by the story unfolding before her. When the hero saved the day in a dramatic climax, she turned to Alex with wide eyes. Is this typical behavior for humans? Risking one's life for others? Alex chuckled softly. Not all humans are like that. But yeah, some people do amazing things. Why? Thinking of becoming a superhero yourself? Zinra tilted her head thoughtfully. Perhaps, though I suspect my methods would differ significantly. Their laughter faded as night fell, replaced by a quiet tension that neither of them could ignore. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it an unsettling stillness. Alex glanced toward the window, his fingers drumming nervously against the armrest. Do you feel that? He asked quietly. Zinra nodded, her glowing eyes scanning the darkness beyond the glass. The air is charged. Someone approaches. Alex stood abruptly, his heart pounding. Are you sure? I am certain, Zinra replied, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Prepare the artifact. We may need it sooner than anticipated. Together, they moved swiftly, gathering the tools they need for whatever lay ahead. Zinra activated the energy barriers, ensuring the house was sealed off from intruders. Alex grabbed a flashlight and positioned himself near the door, gripping the artifact tightly in his hands. For a moment, everything was eerily silent. Then a low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. "They're here," Zinra whispered, her form flickering faintly as she summoned the last of her strength. "Stay close, Alex. Trust in our preparations." As the first shadowy figures appeared outside the windows, Alex felt a surge of determination. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for certain. He wouldn't let Zinra face this danger alone. Together, they braced themselves for the fight of their lives, ready to defend not just their home, but their newfound friendship. The night was eerily quiet, save for the low hum of energy barriers pulsing around Alex Carter's house. Inside, the air felt heavy with anticipation. Zinra stood near the window, her holographic disguise deactivated to conserve energy, her translucent form shimmering faintly in the dim light. Her large eyes scanned the darkness outside, searching for any sign of movement. Alex hovered nearby, clutching the alien artifact tightly in his hands. He had practiced using it over the past few days, but now faced with the reality of an impending attack, he couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't ready. "They're out there," Zinra said softly, her voice calm but laced with tension. "I can sense their presence." Alex swallowed hard, his grip tightening on the artifact. "How many?" "3 ships at least," she replied. "Their cloaking technology makes them difficult to pinpoint, but they are close." As if on cue, a sudden flash of light illuminated the backyard. 3 sleek, black vessels descended silently from the sky, their surfaces reflecting no light. They hovered just above the ground, casting long, ominous shadows across the grass. Alex's heart raced as he watched figures emerge from the ship's tall, armored beams with glowing weapons strapped to their arms. Their movements were deliberate and calculated, like predators stalking their prey. Zinra turned to Alex, her expression resolute. "Activate the perimeter defense. It will buy us time." Alex nodded and pressed a sequence of buttons on the artifact. A low hum filled the room, followed by a sharp crackle as invisible energy fields flared to life around the house. Outside, the bounty hunters paused, their heads tilting slightly as they detected the barrier. One of them raised a hand, gesturing to the others, and within moments, they began firing. Bright beams of energy shot toward the house, colliding with the force fields in bursts of light and sound. "They're testing the defenses," Zinra explained, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding outside. "They'll try to breach. It's soon. We must hold our position." Alex moved to the kitchen counter, where they had laid out makeshift tools: a baseball bat, a fire extinguisher, and a stack of gardening hoses rigged with Zinra's energy emitters. He grabbed the bat, gripping it tightly as adrenaline surged through him. "What do I do if they get inside?" "Stay behind me," Zinra instructed. "My energy shields can deflect their attacks, but only for so long. Use the artifact to disrupt their weapons. It emits an EMP pulse that will disable their equipment temporarily." Before Alex could respond, the energy barriers flickered violently. The bounty hunters had intensified their assault, their weapons emitting a deafening roar as they battered the defenses. Sparks flew, and the windows rattled in their frames. Alex glanced at Zinra, who stood firm despite the growing danger. "Need to move," she urged, motioning toward the basement. "The bunker is our best chance." Without hesitation, Alex followed her down the narrow staircase, closing the heavy metal door behind them. The bunker was small but secure, its walls reinforced with materials Zinra had altered using her abilities. She activated another layer of energy shielding around the space, sealing them off from the rest of the house dot above them. The sounds of destruction grew louder. The bounty hunters had breached the outer defenses and were now inside the house, their footsteps echoing through the halls. Alex clenched his jaw, trying to steady his breathing. "What's the plan?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the commotion. Zinra placed a hand on the artifact, which Alex still held. "You must trust me and yourself. When the time comes, aim the artifact at their weapons and press the central button. It will release the EMP pulse. But be warned, it will drain my energy significantly. Alex hesitated, guilt twisting in his chest. I don't want to put you in danger. Isn't there another way? There isn't, Zinra replied firmly. This is why I asked for your help, Alex. Together, we are stronger than either of us alone. The door to the basement shook violently as the bounty hunters attempted to break through. Alex tightened his grip on the artifact. Determination. Replacing his fear. All right, he said, nodding. Let's do this. With a final burst of effort, the bounty hunters forced the door open, flooding the bunker with blinding light. They stormed inside, their weapons trained on Alex and Zinra. One of them barked something in a guttural language, his voice harsh and commanding. Zinra stepped forward, raising her hands in a gesture of defiance. You will not take me, she declared, her voice resonating with power. Leave now or face the consequences. The bounty hunters didn't hesitate. They fired their weapons simultaneously, sending searing beams of energy toward Zinra. She raised a shimmering shield, deflecting the attacks, but the strain was evident in her wavering form. Alex seized the moment, aiming the artifact at the nearest hunter and pressing the central button. A wave of electromagnetic energy erupted from the device, engulfing the room in a blinding flash. The hunter's weapons sputtered and died, their armor sparking as the EMP pulse disrupted their systems. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Then, chaos erupted once more as the hunters scrambled to recover. Zinra collapsed to her knees, her strength nearly depleted. Alex rushed to her side, shielding her with his body as the hunters advanced, now relying on brute force rather than technology. He swung the baseball bat wildly, striking one of them squarely in the chest and sending him stumbling backward. Another hunter lunged at him, but Zinra summoned the last of her energy to create a barrier, forcing him to retreat. Alex, Zinra whispered weakly, her voice strained. Use the artifact again. Target their ship. Alex nodded, his mind racing. He sprinted toward the stairs, dodging the hunters as they recovered from the initial EMP blast. Reaching the main floor, he aimed the artifact at the largest of the 3 ships still hovering outside. With a deep breath, he activated the pulse once more. The ship shuddered violently, its engine sputtering before it crashed into the ground with a deafening boom. The remaining hunters froze, clearly shaken by the loss of their vessel. Without their advanced weaponry or transportation, they exchanged uncertain glances before retreating to their remaining ships. Within moments, the vessels ascended into the night sky, disappearing as quickly as they had arrived. Back in the bunker, Alex knelt beside Zinra, his heart pounding. It's over, he said, his voice trembling with relief. They're gone. Zinra managed a faint smile, though her form flickered weakly. Thank you, Alex. You saved us both. Alex shook his head, tears welling in his eyes. No, Zinra. We saved each other. That's what partners do. As dawn broke over Maplewood, the house lay in ruins, its walls scorched and windows shattered. But inside, amidst the wreckage, a bond had been forged, one that transcended worlds and species. Together, Alex and Zinra had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. And though the threat of the bounty hunters still lingered, they knew they could overcome anything as long as they stood side by side. The morning sun filtered through the broken windows of Alex Carter's house, casting long shadows across the damaged interior. The aftermath of the attack was undeniable: scorched walls, shattered furniture, and debris scattered everywhere. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was a strange sense of calm. The danger had passed, at least for now, and Alex found himself sitting on the floor beside Zinra, who still looked weak but determined. You did well, Zinra said softly, her voice carrying a mix of gratitude and pride. I underestimated humans before, but your courage proved me wrong. Alex gave a small, tired laugh, running a hand through his disheveled hair. Courage? I was terrified. But I couldn't just stand by and let them take you. You've done so much for me, I owed you that much. Zinra tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes studying him intently. You do not owe me anything, Alex. What you gave me last night was far greater than servitude or obligation. It was trust and partnership. That is something rare, even among my own kind. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The weight of what they had endured hung in the air, mingling with the faint smell of smoke and burnt metal. Outside, birds began to chirp again, as though nature itself was reclaiming the quiet after the storm. Alex glanced around at the mess, feeling a pang of guilt. His once cozy home was now barely livable, and he knew repairs would be costly if he could afford them at all. We should clean up, Alex said finally, breaking the silence. Start putting things back together. Zinra nodded, though her movements were slow and deliberate. Her energy levels were still low, and she relied heavily on Alex's support as they began picking up pieces of broken furniture and sweeping away shards of glass. Despite her weakened state, she insisted on helping, using her remaining strength to mend smaller items with subtle bursts of energy. A cracked vase repaired itself, and a torn curtain stitched back together seamlessly. Alex watched in awe, marveling at her abilities even when she was drained out by midday. They had managed to clear most of the debris and make the living room somewhat habitable again. Alex flopped onto the couch, or what was left of it, with a groan. This is going to take forever, he muttered, rubbing his temples. And I don't even know where to start explaining this to people. Zinra perched on the edge of a chair opposite him, her translucent form flickering faintly. Perhaps it is best if no one knows. Your neighbors might find it difficult to believe that bounty hunters from another galaxy attacked your home. Yeah, no kidding, Alex replied dryly. Linda Harper would probably call the news station instead of the police. They shared a brief laugh, though the humor was tinged with exhaustion. Alex leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Still, we can't ignore the fact that those hunters might come back. They didn't seem like the type to give up easily. Zinra's expression grew somber. You are correct. My pursuers are relentless, and their resources are vast. Destroying one of their ships may have slowed them down, but it will not stop them indefinitely. Alex frowned, his mind racing. Then we need to prepare for round 2. And this time, we'll be ready. Over the next few days, Alex and Zinra worked tirelessly to fortify the house further. Using Zinra's knowledge of alien technology and Alex's resourcefulness, they created a network of hidden traps and alarms designed to detect intruders. Zinra modified the artifact to act as a central hub, allowing them to monitor the perimeter remotely. She also taught Alex how to use its more advanced functions, ensuring he could operate it independently if needed. During quieter moments, they talked about their lives, their worlds, their dreams, and their fears. Zinra shared stories of her homeworld, describing its crystalline cities and rivers of liquid light. She spoke of her family, who had been captured by the same factions hunting her, and her determination to reunite with them someday. Alex listened intently, realizing how much she had sacrificed to survive Dot in return. Alex told Zinra about growing up in Maplewood, his love for hiking in the woods, and his dream of writing novels someday. He admitted that he had always felt ordinary, unremarkable even, until she came into his life. You've shown me that being brave isn't about having superpowers or fancy gadgets, he said one evening as they sat under the stars. It's about standing up for what matters, even when it's scary. Zinra smiled faintly, her glowing eyes reflecting the moonlight. And you have shown me that kindness exists beyond my world. Humans are flawed, yes, but they are capable of extraordinary compassion. Their bond deepened with each passing day, transcending the boundaries of species and circumstance. For Alex, Zinra was no longer just an alien seeking refuge. She was a friend, a companion, and someone he trusted completely. And for Zinra, Alex represented hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there were good people willing to help. But the peace they found was fragile. One night, as they prepared for bed, Zinra suddenly tensed, her eyes widening in alarm. "They're coming," she whispered urgently. "The bounty hunters, they've returned?" Alex sprang to his feet, adrenaline coursing through him. "How many?" "More than before," Zinra replied, her voice tight with worry. "At least 5 ships. They've brought reinforcements." Without wasting a second, Alex grabbed the artifact and activated the defensive systems. The house hummed with energy as barriers flared to life, sealing them off from the outside world. Outside, the sky lit up with the glow of descending ships, their engines roaring as they surrounded the property. "They're not taking any chances this time," Alex muttered, gripping the artifact tightly. "What's the plan?" Zinra hesitated, her form flickering faintly. "We hold our ground. Use the EMP pulse again, but aim strategically. Disable their ships first. It will leave them stranded." "And then what?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with doubt. "Even if we stop them, they'll keep coming back. We can't keep fighting like this forever." Zinra placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch cool but reassuring. "Then we must find a way to end this permanently. Together." As the bounty hunters launched their assault, Alex and Zinra stood side by side, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The battle would be fierce, and the odds were against them, but they refused to give up. Bound by trust and determination, they prepared to defend not just their home, but their future. Whatever happened next, they knew they wouldn't face it alone. The air crackled with tension as Alex Carter and Zinra braced themselves for another attack. Outside, the bounty hunters' ships hovered menacingly, their sleek black surfaces glinting under the moonlight. The hum of their engines grew louder, vibrating through the walls of the house. Inside, the energy barriers shimmered faintly, holding strong for now, but clearly straining under the pressure of the hunters' relentless assault. "They're testing us," Zinra said, her voice calm, but urgent. "They know we're prepared this time." Alex nodded, his knuckles white as he gripped the artifact tightly. "Then let's show them what we've got." With a deep breath, Alex aimed the device toward the largest ship outside and activated the EMP pulse. A blinding flash erupted, sending waves of electromagnetic energy surging outward. The targeted ship shuddered violently, its systems failing as it plummeted to the ground in a fiery crash. Cheers erupted from inside the house, both human and alien, but the victory was short-lived. The remaining ships quickly adjusted their tactics, spreading out to avoid further damage. "They're smarter than before," Zinra observed her, glowing eyes scanning the scene outside. "We'll need to be careful." Alex glanced at her, noticing how weak she still looked. Every use of her powers drained her further, and he couldn't help but feel guilty about relying on her so heavily. "You don't have to do everything yourself," he said firmly. "Let me handle more of this." Zinra hesitated, then nodded. "Very well, but stay close. We must coordinate our efforts." As the bounty hunters regrouped, they began firing concentrated beams of energy at the house, targeting specific points to weaken the barriers. Sparks flew as the shields absorbed hit after hit, each impact threatening to collapse the protective dome around them. Alex scrambled to adjust the artifact settings, reinforcing the barriers while simultaneously searching for vulnerabilities in the hunters' formation. "Look!" Zinra pointed to one of the smaller ships, which had drifted slightly away from the others. "That one is exposed. If we disable it, the rest may retreat." Without hesitation, Alex aimed the artifact at the isolated ship and triggered another EMP pulse. This time, however, the effect was weaker. The artifact's power reserves were dwindling. The ship wobbled but remained airborne, its crew scrambling to stabilize it. Realizing their window of opportunity was closing, Zinra stepped forward, summoning the last of her strength to create a focused energy beam. With a sharp gesture, she directed the blast at the ship, striking it squarely in its engine core. It exploded in a burst of light, sending debris raining down onto the forest below. The other ships hesitated, clearly shaken by the loss of 2 of their vessels. For a moment, there was silence and eerie pause that seemed to stretch on forever. Then, without warning, The remaining hunters launched a coordinated assault, bombarding the house with everything they had. The energy barriers flickered dangerously, their glow dimming as cracks began to form. "We can't hold them off much longer," Alex shouted over the chaos. "What do we do now?" Zinra's expression hardened, her determination unwavering. Despite her exhaustion, "There is one final option, but it will require great risk." "What is it?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with desperation. "The artifact contains a self-destruct mechanism," Zinra explained. "If activated, it will release a massive burst of energy, destroying all nearby ships. However, the explosion will also render me unconscious and possibly cause significant damage to the surrounding area." Alex's heart sank. "No, there has to be another way. I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself." "There isn't," Zinra replied firmly. "This is why I chose you as my ally, Alex. You have protected me, trusted me, and fought beside me. Now, I must protect you and ensure these hunters cannot harm anyone else." Before Alex could argue further, Zinra placed her hand on the artifact, her touch steady despite her trembling form. "When I say so, press the triangular button and rotate the circular panel counterclockwise. Do not hesitate." Alex clenched his jaw, tears welling in his eyes. "I won't let you face this alone." "You already have," Zinra said softly, her voice filled with warmth. "By standing by me, you've given me strength I never thought possible. Trust me now, as I trust you." The bounty hunters intensified their attack, their weapons tearing through the weakened barriers. The house shook violently, furniture toppling over as shards of glass rained down. Zinra raised her hands, creating a final protective shield around Alex. "Now!" she commanded. Alex obeyed, pressing the button and turning the panel as instructed. The artifact emitted a deafening hum, its surface glowing brighter and brighter until it became almost unbearable to look at. Zinra stepped back, her form flickering wildly as the energy surged through her. With a final resolute cry, she unleashed the artifact's full power. A blinding explosion engulfed the area, obliterating the remaining ships in an instant. The shockwave rippled outward, flattening trees and scattering debris across the forest. When the light faded, all that remained was silence, a stark contrast to the chaos that had preceded it. Inside the house, Alex shielded his face from the lingering heat, his ears ringing from the blast. As the dust settled, he turned to find Zinra collapsed on the floor, her translucent form barely visible. Rushing to her side, he cradled her gently, his voice choked with emotion. "Zinra, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, though they were dimmer than before. "It worked," she whispered weakly. "They're gone." Tears streamed down Alex's face as he held her closer. "You saved us, again." Zinra managed a faint smile, her voice soft but steady. "We saved each other, Alex. Remember that." "Over." The next few hours, Alex tended to Zinra as best he could, ensuring she was comfortable despite her weakened state. He knew her recovery would take time, but he vowed to stay by her side every step of the way. Together, they had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious, not just against the bounty hunters, but against fear and doubt itself as dawn broke. Over Maplewood, painting the horizon in hues of gold and pink, Alex sat beside Zinra, watching the sunrise. The house was damaged, the forest scarred, but neither of them cared. They had proven that courage and friendship could overcome even the greatest challenges. And though the future remained uncertain, one thing was clear. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Weeks passed, and life in Maplewood slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. The forest behind Alex Carter's house was scarred from the battle trees were flattened, and patches of scorched earth served as reminders of the chaos that had unfolded. Yet within the walls of Alex's home, there was a quiet sense of peace. Zinra had regained much of her strength, though she still needed time to fully recover. Her shimmering form no longer flickered faintly, and her glowing eyes sparkled with renewed energy. Alex spent his days repairing the house, patching up walls and replacing broken windows. It wasn't easy, and the cost of materials stretched his budget thin, but he didn't mind. Every hammer strike, every nail driven into place, felt like a step toward rebuilding not just his home, but their lives. Zinra helped as much as she could, using her abilities to mend smaller items and speed up certain tasks. Together, they transformed the wreckage into something livable again. One evening, as they sat together on the newly repaired porch, Alex broke the silence. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked, his voice soft but tinged with worry. Zinra tilted her head, gazing out at the horizon where the sun dipped below the trees. "It is possible," she admitted, "but I believe we have bought ourselves time. The destruction of their fleet will force them to regroup and reconsider their approach." Alex nodded, though the thought still troubled him. "And what about your people? Your family? Do you think you'll ever find them?" Zinra's expression softened, a mixture of longing and determination crossing her face. "I do not know, but I will not give up hope. My journey here has taught me that even the most daunting challenges can be overcome with the right ally." Her words lingered in the air, and Alex couldn't help but smile. "Well, if you ever need backup, you know where to find me. I'm not exactly an intergalactic warrior, but I've got your back." Zinra turned to him, her glowing eyes warm with gratitude. "You are more than you realize, Alex. You have shown me the value of courage, compassion, and trust. These are qualities that transcend worlds and species." The two shared a moment of quiet understanding, the bond between them stronger than ever. Over the weeks, Zinra continued to adapt to human life, learning new customs and sharing stories of her own world. She marveled at Earth's simplicity, the way sunlight danced on leaves, the sound of birdsong in the morning, and the joy of sipping hot tea on a chilly day. In return, she introduced Alex to the wonders of her universe, describing distant galaxies, ancient civilizations, and the intricate beauty of her homeworld. Their conversations sparked a mutual appreciation for each other's perspectives. Alex realized how much he had taken for granted: the warmth of a summer breeze, the laughter of friends, the comfort of home. And Zinra, who had once viewed humans as primitive and unpredictable, now saw them as resilient and full of potential. One afternoon, as they worked side by side in the garden, Alex paused to wipe sweat from his brow. "You know," he said with a grin, "you've become quite the green thumb. Who would have thought an alien could grow tomatoes better than me?" Zinra chuckled softly, inspecting a ripe red fruit she had plucked from the vine. "Perhaps it is simply a matter of perspective. On my world, plants respond to energy fields. Here, they require patience and care." "Well, whatever you're doing, it's working," Alex replied, tossing her a playful wink. "Maybe you should write a gardening book." As the days turned into weeks, Alex and Zinra grew closer, their partnership evolving into something deeper. They were no longer just allies or roommates. They were friends, bound by shared experiences and unwavering loyalty. Though their origins were vastly different, they found common ground in their desire to protect and support one another. Still, the threat of the bounty hunters loomed in the back of their minds. They knew it was only a matter of time before their enemies regrouped and returned. But instead of living in fear, they prepared for the future with resolve. Using the remnants of the artifact and Zinra's knowledge, they devised new strategies and defenses, ensuring they would be ready for whatever came next. One evening, as they sat together under the stars, Alex voiced a question that had been weighing on his mind. "If you ever leave, if you find your family or go back to your world, what happens to us? Will we stay in touch?" Zinra hesitated, her gaze fixed on the night sky. "I cannot predict the future, Alex, but I do know this: you have changed me. You have shown me that kindness exists beyond my world and that friendships can transcend even the stars. No matter where I go, I will always carry the lessons I've learned from you." Alex smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. "That's good enough for me." In the weeks that followed, Alex and Zinra continued to live their lives, embracing both the ordinary and the extraordinary. They explored new hobbies, shared meals, and laughed at the little mishaps that came with blending two worlds together. Zinra's presence in Maplewood remained a secret, known only to Alex and perhaps Linda Harper, who occasionally waved hello but never pried too deeply. Though the shadow of danger still lingered, Alex and Zinra faced it with courage and determination. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could stand strong as long as they stood together. Their friendship was a testament to the power of trust, resilience, and the belief that no matter how different two beings might seem, they could find common ground and build something beautiful. And so, in the heart of Maplewood, an unlikely bond blossomed, a connection that bridged worlds and defied expectations. For Alex and Zinra, the journey was far from over. But as they looked to the future, they did so with hope, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the curtains of Alex Carter's modest home, casting warm golden beams across the living room. The alien artifact sat on the kitchen table, humming softly as it projected a holographic image of Zinra. Her shimmering form hovered above the device, her large, expressive eyes scanning the room with curiosity. Alex had spent most of the night trying to process everything that had happened. He'd gone from an ordinary guy taking a walk in the woods to someone who now shared his house with an extraterrestrial being. It was surreal, but he couldn't deny the sense of wonder bubbling inside him. Zinra seemed equally fascinated by her new surroundings. She moved her translucent hands over invisible surfaces, mimicking human gestures she'd observed during their brief interactions. "Your dwelling is quaint," she said finally, her melodic voice tinged with amusement. "It lacks the technological sophistication of my world, yet there is a certain charm to its simplicity." Alex chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his head. "Yeah, well, not all of us have flying spaceships and energy fields. Some of us are stuck with Wi-Fi that barely works." He paused for a moment, then added, "So, what exactly can you do? Besides glow and float, I mean," Zinra tilted her head thoughtfully, "my abilities are tied to energy manipulation. I can generate force fields, alter electrical currents, and even create localized weather patterns if needed. However, such feats require significant energy reserves, which I currently lack. For now, I must conserve my strength." "Got it," Alex replied, nodding slowly. "No superhero stunts until you're fully charged. Makes sense." He glanced at the clock on the wall. "In the meantime, maybe we should figure out how to blend you into everyday life. You sticking out like a neon sign isn't going to help either of us stay under the radar." Zinra's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "I understand the necessity of discretion, but I am unfamiliar with your customs." "How does one blend in?" Alex grinned despite himself. Teaching an alien about Earth culture sounded absurd, but also kind of fun. "Okay, first things first, we need to teach you basic human stuff, like cooking, cleaning, and pretending to be normal when people come over. Speaking of which," his voice trailed off as he noticed movement outside the window. Linda Harper, his nosy neighbor, was watering her plants while casually glancing toward his house. Alex groaned inwardly. Linda was harmless enough, but she had a knack for noticing things and gossiping about them. "Who is that?" Zinra asked, following Alex's gaze. "That's Linda," Alex explained. "She means well, but she's got the curiosity of a cat. If she sees anything weird, the whole neighborhood will know about it by dinner." Zinra nodded solemnly. "Then, I shall remain concealed until further notice." Over the next few days, Alex introduced Zinra to various aspects of human life. He showed her how to use appliances like the microwave and toaster, though her attempts often resulted in minor disasters. On one occasion, she accidentally set off the smoke alarm while trying to heat up leftover pizza. Another time, she caused the lights to flicker wildly after experimenting with the circuit breaker. Despite these mishaps, Zinra approached every task with determination, eager to learn and adapt. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Alex decided to broach a more serious topic. Zinra, you mentioned before that you're being hunted. What exactly are we dealing with here? Zinra's expression darkened, and for a moment, she looked almost fragile. The bounty hunters pursuing me are ruthless mercenaries employed by powerful factions. They seek to capture beings like me, those capable of manipulating energy for their own gain. My abilities could be used to power weapons or destabilize entire civilizations. That is why I fled. Alex frowned, feeling a mix of anger and concern. And you think they'll come looking for you here? It is possible, Zinra admitted. They have advanced tracking technology. But so long as I remain hidden, they may struggle to locate me. Your planet's magnetic field interferes with their scanners, providing some measure of protection. Well, that's good news, I guess, Alex said, though his tone suggested otherwise. But just in case, maybe we should prepare for the worst. Do you have any gadgets or tools that could help us defend ourselves? Zinra hesitated before answering. The artifact you found contains several defensive mechanisms, but activating them requires precise calibration. Additionally, prolonged use could drain my energy reserves further. I must weigh the risks carefully. Alex sighed, leaning back against the couch. Great, so basically, we're sitting ducks unless we get creative. Despite the looming threat, Alex found himself growing closer to Zinra. There was something endearing about her earnestness, her willingness to embrace humanity despite its flaws. She asked endless questions about Earth's history, music, and art, marveling at concepts like democracy and abstract painting. In turn, she shared stories of her homeworld, a distant planet filled with crystalline cities and rivers of liquid light. Their conversation sparked a mutual respect, bridging the gap between their vastly different origins. One afternoon, while Alex was showing Zinra how to bake cookies, disaster struck. A sudden power surge coursed through the house, causing every appliance to spark violently. The oven beeped erratically, the refrigerator door swung open on its own, and the TV switched channels at random. Zinra backed away from the counter, her translucent form flickering faintly. I did not intend for this to happen, she exclaimed, her voice tinged with panic. I was merely attempting to stabilize the oven's temperature. Alex grabbed a fire extinguisher just in case, though thankfully nothing caught fire. Once the chaos subsided, he turned to Zinra with a mixture of exasperation and amusement. You've got to be more careful. One slip-up like that, and we'll have the electric company knocking on our door or worse, Linda. Zinra bowed her head apologetically. I apologize, Alex. I underestimated the sensitivity of your technology. It will not happen again. As the days passed, Alex began to realize that having Zinra around wasn't just about protecting her. It was also about learning to trust someone completely different from himself. Sure, she came from another world, but her desire for connection and understanding was deeply human. And for Alex, who had always considered himself an ordinary guy, the experience was transformative. He started seeing the world through fresh eyes, appreciating the little things he'd once taken for granted. But even as their bond strengthened, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that trouble was brewing. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow outside the window made him tense. He knew it was only a matter of time before Zinra's pursuers caught up to them. When that day came, he vowed to stand by her side, no matter what. For now, though, they continued their quiet routine, two unlikely companions navigating the challenges of coexistence. Together, they prepared for whatever lay ahead, bound by a promise of loyalty and the hope that friendship could transcend even the stars.